my first collection. Let's see. Well, that would be Lights Along the Missouri. There's not very many copies of this left. Occasionally you find them on bookfinder.com or something. UNO was publishing a trilogy, 3 collections in 1 volume by different poets under different themes. And mine was, I was in Annex 21, I think it was number 2. Yeah, number 2. My collection, Lights Along the Missouri, was put in. And it came about in really the strangest way. This had the potential for being a very great series, but it really got found. Well, I'll tell you the story real quickly. First of all, how I got in. Came to Omaha, did my things, founding a church, met the people in the writer's workshop, the directors. They invited me to give a reading, and I did. And even my neighbor Linda Pratt came, who I think I don't know what she expected, but afterwards she said, "Well, you are a poet." At any rate, after the reading, the director said, "Gee, I wish you were teaching for us." And I think I said, "Well, offer me a job." Well, and then I ended up teaching for them. And I eventually ended up editing this series. And but the strangest thing happened. Murray North was the name of our dean. And probably I shouldn't have said that. Somebody's going to sue me for having said that now. And he, oh my goodness, under him, the fine arts department under which the writing workshop was, UNO's workshop, is very different than in most universities. They're under the English department. Here they're under the fine arts department. He brought in such beloved, talented people. Once he was hired as the dean of the fine arts department, he got us to double and triple of the number of classes we were teaching and getting really paid for. My goodness, you could take the classes in writing the Western, a romance, a play, children's literature, advanced studios, beginnings. There was so much going on, and so many people in the department teaching. And then someone decided to write a paper or an article about the fine arts department, and decided to include a quote she had read by our dean in a magazine that had published an article he had written in England. He supposedly had his degree from the university, from Oxford. Well, she found out the article didn't exist, and then she found out the magazine didn't exist, and then she found out his degree didn't exist, and then they found out that the degree of half the people that he brought into the department in the last 5 or 6 years didn't exist. And the whole thing blew up. And it was such a shame because he was so talented, and the people he brought in were so incredibly talented. Whole place blew up. Budgets were slashed like you can't believe. I was left with the option of teaching 1 night course in children's literature and editing, continuing editing, but not to get paid for the Annex 21 series. Well, you know, that doesn't put bread on your table. So the whole thing blew up. And, you know, even this dean's wife was so talented. I used to go to her piano concerts and just almost catch my breath that she was so good. They were such talented people. So I don't know what that means. I don't know whether that means that we should hire people based on their skills, or if we should hire people based on their degrees, because those don't always seem to be, working well together. Anyway, Lights Along the Missouri was my first collection. Introduction by Richard Eberhardt, who said he believes everything I write. Every poem I write is really a religious poem. I take everything very seriously, but some of my favorite poems in each of my books so far, there's a funny poem. Even in the Conception Abbey poems, there's a very funny poem. And so I don't take things, I find humor, and I guess humor can be religious too. Anyway, Lights Along the Missouri. Can't buy it. You can't get a copy. Sorry. Bookfinder.com maybe. I have 3 or 4 copies, but those are to be left, I don't know, in an archive. I don't know what to do with them. I don't have family or friends who read my stuff much anyway. I ramble.